we could talk for hours about discipline. I really believe that that's true. But I don't want to do that to you tonight. So we're going to talk about a couple of my favorite subjects. For some of you, it will be a repeat of information you've heard before. For some of you, it will be new. For some of you, it will be a repeat. The first time you hear it, though, will be tonight, even though we've talked about it many times. And I understand that because you have to be in a particular place to hear certain things, right? So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So let's start out first, though. If we're talking about discipline, let's go the other way. Somebody tell me the difference between discipline and punishment. Okay, so I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to define those two things. I think of them as very different things, and I absolutely agree with Jenny. Discipline to me is all about teaching. Punishment is all about punitive behavior. So I thought, well, I'm actually going to go look. Punishment, a penalty inflicted on an offender through judicial procedure, or to inflict a penalty on or cause pain for some offense. That sounds horrible. Yikes. Okay, discipline. A branch of knowledge. In what discipline is his doctorate? Okay, well, I understand that one. A system of rules of conduct. But more to our point, to develop behavior by instruction and practice. To discipline. I like that much better. I think if we had to vote, that everyone in this room tonight believes that discipline is more important and more effective than punishment. How many of you, when you think of your childhood, think of your parents' parenting styles as punishment? I sure do. I know that yardstick really well, and it knows my legs. How about the rest of you? Do you really think your parents really chose discipline instead? How many parents had discipline? That's excellent. Congratulations to you. You have an excellent role model to follow. And that's really the hardest part about parenting in my mind, is letting go of what you experienced yourself and choosing how you want to parent your children. So in the classroom, we have the guidance of Dr. Montessori, and she was very, very specific. She said, you teach by teaching, not by correcting. Doesn't really say anything about discipline, but if you think about what she's saying, that's exactly what it means. You teach by teaching. So you think about what lessons you want to teach, and you teach them in advance, not by correcting. Correcting would be in the heat of the moment, reacting. You said reactive. Reacting to what you feel in the heat of that moment. So the difference in the classroom for us is the child hits another child. I could walk up and say, how dare you hit your friend? Well, I mean, I'd get my point across. Everybody would stop. They would stop hitting. But the child who hit didn't learn anything, and the child who was hit is just as traumatized as the child who was hitting. So I don't think that's really effective. But what we do is Dr. Montessori said to us, let's do grace and courtesy lessons. Let's practice ahead of time what we will do. So we get a group of children together like this, and we say, what would you do if your friend tried to take your work? And the group raises their hands and somebody says, I'd hit him. I'd push him down. I'd tell him no. Because they're all different ages, right? And so then when we get an appropriate answer, like, well, I would say, please leave my work alone. Oh, that's an excellent response. I'd say, I'm working on this now. I'll let you know when I'm done. Terrific. And then we practice those things. So we literally role play with the children. Are you going to do that with your children at home? No, probably not. You could, but that takes a lot of forethought. But here's the thing. Teach by teaching, not by correcting. In order to teach by teaching, you have to think ahead of time what it is you're trying to convey to your child. So that in the heat of the moment, you don't say, "You are such a naughty boy." That doesn't teach your child anything. What were you thinking when you hit your brother? How do you think he feels? How do you feel when your brother hits you? What could you have done that would be different? Now nobody's feeling threatened, but you're getting the same point across, right? But if you don't have an idea in your mind of how you're going to handle that, it's much harder when it happens. The other piece of that is many of you are two-parent families. If we don't at some point come together and have a little conversation about what we believe is right, guess what the children learn very quickly? How many of you ever went to mom and said, "Can I go get ice cream?" And mom said, "No." So where did you go? To dad. "Dad, can I go get ice cream?" You don't stop, and the children don't stop. And it's not because they're trying to be bad. It's not because they're trying to be devious. It's because they want ice cream. And if it works one time, if I ask one parent and I get the wrong answer, and I ask another and I get the right answer, then I'm going to do it again because my needs are very important to me. So you need to determine ahead of time where your boundaries are, and then you need to determine as a couple where your boundaries are. In a family that's divided, whether it's over distance, whether it's through divorce, it doesn't really matter what the situation is, you still have to kind of have those kind of conversations. Children, even at the age of 3, can understand there's a set of rules at mom's house and a set of rules at dad's house. They do. They understand that that's okay. But on basic issues, it's really helpful if they know that if I ask mom and she says no, and then I ask dad, he's not going to say yes. Ultimately, and this is what I want you to think of the entire time we're talking tonight, what you do with your 3 and 4-year-old now will set the stage for what you deal with it when they're teenagers 10 years from now. I would much rather tell my 3-year-old no than try to convince my 15-year-old that all of a sudden I'm going to say no. And that's where it's really important that you come together. So, all right, so we've determined what our boundaries are, and we've thought about it, and we're ready and we're prepared, right? There are 2 things that I think you can do, and every single adult I've ever met falls into both of these traps. The first one is, okay is not a question. It's an affirmative. I'm leaving now. Okay, see you tomorrow. Okay, I heard you. I'm confirming that I understood your message. Time to go to bed now. Okay, Mom, see you in the morning. Right? However, here's what we all do. It's time to go home now, okay? It's time to go to bed now, okay? It's time to leave now, okay? Where did we lose the feeling that it's not okay to have some authority as a parent? I think the reason was somewhere along the line we decided to be polite to our children. That's not a bad thing. But polite and permissive are not the same thing. When you add the word okay at the end of any question, the implied answer is always going to be no. It's not okay. No, I don't want to go home. No, I don't want to go to bed. No, I don't want to put my pajamas on. No, I don't want to brush my teeth. No, I don't want to get dressed for school. No, I don't want to put my shoes on. No, 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 no. And we start to get so frustrated with our children because they're constantly saying no to us, but we're giving them the opportunity to say no. And we don't even realize we're doing it. We think we're being polite. And yet, if you think about it, if I say to you, it's time to go now, am I being impolite? It's time for bed. I'm not being rude. Now, if I say, go upstairs and get your pajamas on, now we're starting to cross the line because now I'm being I'm being authoritative. I'm telling you exactly what you will do, and you don't have a choice. But if I say, it's time for bed now, go put your pajamas on, that's not being impolite, right? So you need to think about what you're saying. Listen to your statements. I do this with the staff all day, every day. Do you hear yourself? It's time to go home now, buddy, okay? No, it's not okay. Time to put your shoes on, time to go outside, time to, whatever. And we do it, and we don't even hear ourselves. So be listening for okay. That is the first thing that I would tell every parent, because it's incredibly insidious in our language in America. I don't know about other countries, but here we just do it. And we do it to each other because we're trying to be polite. Polite is not about giving people a choice. Polite is in how you say it and how you intend it. And the second thing is understanding where your child is. And that's really what this sheet is about. Okay? Understanding where your child is. If your child is under the age of 3, if your child is over the age of 3, where they are makes a difference in how they react and how they're capable of reacting to you. If your child is under the age of 3, particularly if they're 2 or under, they're still part of you as far as they're concerned. They're an extension of you. So when they act, they're acting on your behalf. They don't understand that they're separate from you. Not yet. So the best answer for that one is, let's distract you and get you to do the right thing. You don't want to put your shoes on? Great, I'll start tickling you. And in the process, we'll get your shoes on. Let's distract you and get those things going. Somewhere between 2 and 3, a new person emerges. I know a lot of you in this room are in that age range. You've probably heard the terrible 2s. It's the terrible 3s. And it's really an amazing thing, okay? 3-year-olds have finally figured out they're not part of you. I have my own mind. I have my own will. I have my own brain. I can think for me. I can make decisions. I don't have to do what you want me to do because I know what I want and I can say no. And they don't say no to make you crazy. They say no because they can. Because before now, I didn't know I could say no. It would never have occurred to me to say no, except as an echo of you. But now I know I'm an individual and I can control things. And I want to control things. I want to control my choices. I want to control my life. I want to control what you do. And I have the power to do that because I can sit down right here and say, no. No, I don't want to go to school. Make me. Or even better, I'm going to go play with my toys, See you later, Mom. Time to go. Playing with my toys, didn't hear that. Right? So you start to run into this power struggle with your children. And it's not a power struggle of bad child, good parent. It's a struggle of one individual and another individual. Your child is saying, I am somebody and you need to respect the fact that I'm a person. I just figured that out. Toilet training, if you're going through toilet training, that is the ultimate in power struggle, right? Can you make them let go? Those little muscles go, nope, I'm not doing it until I'm standing right in the middle of that nice rug. Then I'll let go. You cannot make that happen, but you can entice it. You can influence it. You can hope that there's a better reason not to go in the middle of that new rug. Those are the kinds of things you need to be thinking about. How old is your child? What are they going through? The child of 4 and 5 and 6 actually is very much in control of their will. They're now making decisions actively. But still, who's the most important person in their life?